Pierre live, Pierre.
Welcome back to another special early edition of the Hockey Nation Live Show. This is your co-host directly from the Sunshine State, Coach Frenchy, back in the locker room, New York Rangers. And we have to go all the way to the West Coast to find the co-host, Michael Devellano.
Good morning, Pierre.
Good morning, everybody.
We have a few friends who showed up. Michael Rosenblatt's here. Nicola's here. Enor Tap, our friend, is here.
Everybody is in the house this morning. Don't forget to click on the likes.
All right, Pierre. So do you want to play the breaking news sound?
You have a breaking news this morning? Yeah, I heard that. I heard like we have a breaking news. The Florida Panthers signed Jumbo Joe, the 86 years old Joe Thornton for a 1-year contract at $750,000. So Jumbo Joe it's going to be his third team his fourth team in NHL. Boston, San Jose, Toronto, and all is going to be a new member of the Florida Panthers. So what do you think about your comment? Couple of comments about that signature.
So, I mean, I think, I was surprised in one sense because I didn't, he's 42. He obviously wants to win a cup. I think that's kind of the missing piece to his crown, right? Like, he's had a great career. He can still play. Like, he was playing on a very talented team last year in Toronto, and he doesn't look out of place. He's not Jumbo Joe of 10 years ago, but he's still, players like that, he's got a high skill level. He's a big guy. He can't, I think he got hurt early on, Pierre, because he was trying to play wing and keep up with really fast line mates. So that tells you how old he is. But he's a good guy in the dressing room. He found, what's interesting about him, Pierre, to me, is he was always a guy that was not in amazing shape. And that was the word on him. And I think as he got older, he started to realize, like, geez, I probably missed out because I'm not training as hard as I could. And I think now he takes it pretty seriously.
Yeah, definitely. For me, it's about people said a couple of comments here that Tap said, the problem is the money situation with Corey Perry. They request 2 years at $1 million, 1.2. He got whatever it is. That's the Bill Zito cannot commit on that side over there. And I think the key behind this, Michael, is not going to play 82 games next year. No. It's going to be maybe 45, 50, 60, whatever it is. He's there for two reasons. His experience in NHL, right? Spencer Knight, Michael, he was not born when Joe Thornton started to play hockey. And Spencer Knight, he was born 4 years after Joe Thornton was in NHL. So he's bring experience and he's bring leadership. And that's what he does. That's the reason he signed with the Florida Panthers, part of that one over there. And the Florida Panthers, Michael, if you look at the lineup, if you go from the top to the bottom, check how many players over 30 years old.
For Florida?
They don't have a lot. That's the problem they have. They are all young.
Yeah,
so they have Patrick Orvis, Popowski, right? And Kudas, I believe, is now 31, 30, something like that. And you know what I mean? So it's a really young team. And that team never learned to play, to win everything like that. So for me, that's the reason he signed. If it was not him, maybe they will chase. Now, the fact he signed him, I don't think so. They were going to go after Shara after that because I think it was one of the two. I don't see they will bring both together at that team. I think it'll be they need another defenseman for sure at some point. I think a Jordy Ben or a Jason Demers could be added at that because they have only 7 defensemen right now at that moment. So that's what they signed Jumbo Joe. And I think that's, for me, as a good signature for what he can bring. Now, if you expect 40 points, and I think one thing, Michael, if you look, we watched a lot of games Toronto last season. Whenever he played 12 minutes, and he would play 2 minutes, 15 seconds in power play, the guy can play on power play. The guy have a vision, he have experience to bring the puck on the stick, everything like that. So it's a little bit what Corey Perry did last year with Montreal Canadiens, with less time and play on the 4 line, everything like that. For me, I would bring Joe Thornton 10 times before Rand Lundberg on the ice because that's That's what I think Joe Thornton can bring. Now, don't expect 80 games. That's my recommendation. Is going to be 50 games, 60 max, and they're going to brave him for the playoff and see what happening. So for me, that's a good one. It was over 1 million, it would be a problem. But for 750, you have a guy who's going to be happy. He does a lot of stuff with the people don't know. He's a clown. He's a goofy guy. So he bring happiness, a smile in the morning, enthusiasm. He never show up at the ring with a bad mood. He's always been a good guy, human being. He bring the fun. So I think it's a good mix to have a grandfather inside the room now compared, you know what I mean? So I think for me, that's the way I see this.
Yeah, I think it does not hurt. Like, he brings a lot of intangibles, and he's, I think the thing about guys like this, we saw it last year. I think he got hurt because he was playing with very fast players on the wing. And I think that his body's not there. And these guys are like elite now, right? Like the level of skating of the guys like Marner and Matthews, who he's playing with, he still has the skill to play with them, but you got to protect him. And I think
he was not the right chair over there, right? So when he came back at 4 line, play with Spencer at the end, and I think that line was getting better and better. Like he was bringing a couple, and then we need him a power play, maybe special too. Right, when Iman was there, you bring him a power play too. I think that's good. I don't think so. They need a lot in Florida. They have already a lot of offensive, but I think for me, it's a good asset to get him. So we have Mr. Moy in the house today. Yamo Veltanen. First time of the week we see him. Welcome back, Yamo. Thanks to show up. Jason Man is in the house also, directly from Quebec. Frank Zalazar, Mr. Twitter. We talked a lot with him. Welcome aboard, and everybody. That's great. And I think he's so right. At the bottom, Markel said, Yamo said, Barca with Thornton is good help for London. I think that's a great thing about. I think it's a great comment. I think I like that one over there.
Yeah, yeah. I think that from what I saw of Lundell, he's already played against men. I don't see a long apprenticeship, if any, in the AHL. He might make it right to the NHL. We'll see. But I think having this type of player with a young guy like that, like he can really show him the ropes, and he can say, like, here's the things I would have done differently, or here's what I see on the ice. And he might really help a guy Lundell, like on the wing, right? Like he might really give him a boost in his rookie year. So that could help everybody.
But again, it's not about helping them on the ice to show them how to turn to power skating, everything like that. They show them how you become a professional, how you show up the morning, how do you do what you do every single day. It's all the little things that make a hockey player better. And that's what it takes. You know what I mean? Like a Yager at 40, we played with Florida. He was not there to score 30 goals, but his presence of his experience he did in the past make them to show the rest of the team what it takes. That's what Joe Thornton is going to do with it. He's not going to get 15 goals. He's not going to go a lot on the ice. It's inside the locker room. One is the tension, the pressure. You don't score 10 goals, no goal for the last 10 games. What do you do with your mindset? What do you do when you're an injury? What do you do when the team does not do well? What do you do during the playoff? Those stuff, it's a learning process. And when you have a guy like him, he's been there, he knows what to talk about that part of there. Last year, Michael, in the locker room, Montreal Canadiens, it was not Carey Price or Shea Weber. It was Corey Perry and Eric Stahl, because they've been there. They did it. And that's what it takes. And that's what Joe Thornton is going to bring. Again, it's not a signature more on the ice. It's all the little the details around. And your behavior at the nutrition, your behavior on the off-ice programming. And it's all the little thing like that.
Yeah, of course. Thornton is good, but Chara would have done the same and addressed a need. Plus, he's won the cup. I don't see a reason why they can't bring both these guys, though. Like, Chara's not going to get a lot of money, but he can log some minutes. If you hit this guy's your 5'6", Chara is in the dressing room as a tour de force. Like, if you really want to put it over the top and say, hey, we value veteran leadership, Chara wants to win. He's scary. The players respect him. If you listen to, we'll have to try to invite him again. But when you hear Alvin Backus talk about Chara in the dressing room with Boston, he might be past his prime on the ice, but everybody's working hard when Chara's there.
Yeah. Well, that's the key, right? There's a respect. That's what you talk about. Larry Robinson during those times. I mean, when Larry Robinson, at the end of his career, he was just skating on the ice. Everybody was respecting him. And that's what happened about that one. The problem with Shara, Michael, is like, I don't see him sign a contract anywhere at 750,000. That's what I'm a little bit worried about that one over there. He played for Washington at $2 million when he come back. I don't see him sign under 1.5. I could be wrong, but I think that would be the problem about that one there.
Well, his
I have some talk about coaching this year.
But last year was $795,000.
I'm sorry?
His base salary last year was $795,000, Chara.
Yeah, but he got $2 million for the signing bonus, everything like that.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think he's acknowledging the guy's 44 or 45.
But yeah, but that's my point. Like I don't think so. He would be back in NHL for the minimum money. That's my point.
It says 10 games played, he got $250,000. Playoff berth, he got another $250,000. So those are pretty reasonable. But yeah, that's pretty. Because his cap hit was $795,000, Pierre. I mean, that would work for Florida, right?
They have no money anymore, so we have to figure out something else. But you know what I mean? I believe they have two choices. He was Shara or Thornton. And I think Shara did not want to come, so they go with Joe Thornton. That's what I believe.
I'd like to see them both. Well, then Edmonton should grab Chara. They could use a little bit of veteran leadership there.
Well, I think the Chara situation, he will help more at Thornton because now you fix a problem where Florida don't have. They have is a defenseman. And Thornton, he don't fix the problem. You have no problem really on the ice. So Chara will be more using better to put him on the ice as the defenseman 5 or 6, whatever they call him over there. And that's why I said they should look about Jason Demers or Jordan Ben because I think, what they have right now, that's not good enough. They have like Noah Johnson and they have Kevin Connaughton back as a backup right there. And I think another defenseman like Demers or Ben could have a little more experience about this. You have also Kerstead as a young kids over there. But I think that would be better to have a little bit more older veteran defenseman.
Well, whatever he does, Chara should not go to Washington. I mean, if it's not abundantly clear, that team ain't winning a cup anytime soon. That would be, I think Joe Thornton's choice of Florida makes sense if you're chasing a cup and you're a venture guy, because on paper, they're not very far off. So I think we'll see what happens. I mean, they need another D, you're right. So hopefully maybe he just says, hey, I just want to win. I would like to see that. Yep. All right. So the other news was yesterday that we had another signing, which was, I was surprised a little bit at the amount, but when you look closely at it, it might be reasonable, which is Andrew Copp with the Winnipeg Jets signs for a 1-year, $3.6 million contract. And we were kind of commenting before what he would hit. Was that what the number that you expected?
Yeah. He had a good year last season. What 34, 39 points. I don't know if he said the number.
I think it was, I think he had 15 or 17 goals.
Yeah, 15 goals, 19 assists or something like that, 34 points maybe. Listen, we talk a lot about Gord and Goodrow and Coleman, third line in Tampa Bay for the last couple of years, right? That's pretty much what Adam Lowry, Michael, and Andrew Copp, and also like Mason Appleton, right? He was maybe one of the top 5 best third line in NHL. So for me, it just right now is what, 25, 26 maybe?
26, yeah, he'll be 26.
So he's maybe at the point right now he's going to be he could score for me 20 goals. He could get that bring over there. That satisfies me. I like Winnipeg Jets. I look at them more. I like that team over there. I expect they are good year for the upcoming season for them. So for me, at 3.5, it's not expensive as a third line over there for what he bring on the table, everything like that. So expect a good year for him, but at 3.5, 3.6, whatever is the amount, and also to fit the salary cap. That's what they have to figure out. They could not get him $4 million about that. So it's
I
a
think that
1
was
year, right? Because after that,
1
he
year,
become a UFA. So
right?
it's called like a bridge contract at the end of the day. Like,
But
you know
he's
what I
not
mean?
a young guy. He's 27 now.
Yeah.
So I don't think, I think like a lot of players that have career numbers in last season, his numbers are going to drop. He'll go back to his career average of kind of 10 goals, 15 assists. So there would have been risk in signing this guy long term at 3.6. He's useful but replaceable. And we've seen, for example, like I'll look at Toronto. They had a bunch of $3.5 million guys and Johansson and Kapanen. They were playing third line, and they get too expensive because they plug up the middle of your roster. So it'll be interesting to see. I think it's smart signing him to 1 year, and then they can decide, hey, was last year an aberration? I think it probably was offensively. I don't think he'll hit those numbers again. But he might.
But again, Michael, a third line center, right? It's what's about $3.5 million. You talk about Alex Kerfoot. It is a 3.5. You go to Lars Eller, that's
sure.
another $3-4 million. So that you can go all around the league.
He's a centerman, is he?
I'm saying again?
I know he's listed as a centerman, but doesn't he usually play wing? I can't remember.
No, he plays center for them. Well, he's shifting sometime, but
because Lowry is the center usually on that line.
Yeah, they shift last season, but and for me, it's a good. He play on PK also.
Yes.
So for me at 3.5, that's the money now for the third center at many team in NHL. So and I think he will score like over 12 goals this season. I would not be surprised he get a 35, 45 point next season also. And again, Michael, that line now, it's possible. It's easier, Michael. This line now is become Lowry, Andrew Copp, and with Pierre-Luc Dubois or Paul Stastny.
Yeah, I could totally see Stastny fitting on that. I mean, you want more.
So that gives you an idea that line is getting strong and strong.
No, their third line is very good. It doesn't feel like, though. I think my point before was you see a lot of teams that give guys on the third line 3.5, and then they got to move them out the year or two after. And I think that's what the risk is for him. He'll get his money now, and then the question will be, based on his performance, will he ever get that again? And I think he's at, it could go either way. I don't see him consistently being a 35, 40-point player.
Yeah, Carey Price in the house, Michael. Carey just recovery for his injury for the right knee, but Carey is in the house. I'm sure he's cooking for the weekend. He's ready for cooking. Cheryl should come in Montreal. That would be awesome. The problem with Montreal, they have to look for a puck mover. I think it would be great to have him, but that's not helping right now the situation. And I don't think it would bring a lot for the team what they need at that moment. So that would be something like that. Maybe they need a new coach. I like Morris. I don't think so in our tap. And I'll be honest with you. I think, guys, I
think they might.
For me, they did well, the Winnipeg Jets. They have a bad pass at 10 games. Last season, they struggled at the end of the season. But before that, it was one of the top best team in NHL. And before that, if you look about all the team play last season, go from the top to the bottom, you're going to see they have a stretch where they struggle at some point. So for me, and then they come back and they beat the Edmonton Oilers because honestly, they have a great team. Now they have a problem. It was at the defense. What they did, they fixed it. So now they have a great defenseman. They have a great goaltender. The top 9 in NHL guy is a top 5 team at any other team. And the top 9, not saying the top 6, the top 9, they can consider them one of the best top 5 in NHL. Sure. That team is better what we think. And I'm telling you now, that's the reason I said I'll see them in final.
I think that there is validity to saying they might need or get a new coach. They've been very patient with Maurice. The players like him. We've seen a pattern, though. Think about how many teams go to the final in the last 3-4 years when they changed the coach. Barry Trotz was kind of, one and done. We saw with St. Louis, Berube came in halfway through the season, gets them to the final. We saw Montreal go to the final halfway through. So they've been very patient, I think, and they are a very patient club, but they're kind of coming to the end in some ways on some of these players. Like Scheifele is going to be 29, 30. Blake Wheeler is going to be 35, Pierre. So they got to say, like, at some point, like, is this the coach to get us over the top? Because he's never really he had one run with Carolina, right, to the final. Is that right?
You won the Stanley Cup? No?
No, I think that was Peter Laviolette.
Yeah, possible. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's what they're going to have to decide. Now, coaches that have won the Stanley Cup are not, growing on trees necessarily, but there is one out there. His name is Mike Babcock. So you never know.
But look about this, Michael. Last and since he's there, the first 2 years, the first year he lost the first round. Then after that, he was out. Then after that, lost in conference final, lost the first round, lost in qualifier round, lost the second round. So he bring that team all the time in the playoff. And then you have only one bad year at .476. The rest is the minimum is 5.63, 604, 695, 604. So he performed with the team over there. I don't think so. He's a problem at that part over there. For me, he's not. I think he's going to be fine over there. It's just like that team have a solid team. And I think I would not see a change right there. I think they have every piece right now. The only thing I think I have a worry a little bit when you deep under the team, the bottom six, the last four, like I'm not sure about Hankins. I'm not sure about Vertanen or whatever his last name. Yeah, but another kids over there. But overall, that team is solid.
But Pierre, if you look at their roster during his tenure, they have been very solid, and they've been better. Yes, on D. Like, I think if you look at his record, he 52 wins, dropped to 47, dropped to 37. Of course, it's a shortened year, so it probably would have been closer to 44. And 30 and 56 is pretty much consistent. So I think he's had a shot at this. And at some point, the general manager has to make a decision. Okay, look, do we need a new voice in the room? Because not everything he does on the ice is perfect. Like, coaches do get out-coached. And, they beat Edmonton. You could argue that Montreal was just on a really hot streak, or that they got great goaltending and beat them. But for what they have on forward, they're much better, say, than a Montreal on paper. So it's kind of going to be interesting. There was a lot of talk last year whether Paul Maurice would finish the season. And
yeah, but he played without Mike Scheifele, you know what I mean?
True.
So the defense was not strong enough, I think so, overall. But it's not an excuse for me. I just feel like, he rebuilt. That thing was like 3 years ago. They have Tyler Myers over there. They have Trompa. And they also have the big foot. Yeah. So they have the strong. It was there. So,
sure.
But again, that's what they rebuilt. So my point here, I think he's going to have a good year overall over there.
Yeah, I think though he's out of excuses. You know what I mean? Like, the general manager made some aggressive moves. He might make one more. That's going to come down to, are we just going to stay comfortable? Do we trust him to take us to the promised land or not? And I think that those whispers will rise again. But, their record might be too good and it may never come up. So it might be fine, right? But if they have any sort of dip at all, then I would expect that would probably be re-examined. Because last year when they went on that streak especially, there was definitely talk that he might be replaced.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. All right. So we've I don't know if there's
I agree with him. They all do win right now. They have the time to win it right now. It's not after that. Wheeler is going to be out. Stashing is going to be out. And the prospect is good, but not great. Yeah, and I think, Michael, the situation with the defenseman or the money, they will have to let it go, see if whatever is called, CFU, whatever it is.
Yeah, there's definitely, like, Schmidt's a little expensive for what he does. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yep.
All right. So the only other news that I didn't comment on the other day was the signing, and I don't know if you talked about Brennan Othmann. He was the first pick for the Rangers, and I'm just going to mention this because this is a pretty highly rated pick. We saw him at the under-18s. This is a pretty talented player that missed, playing the past season in North America, played overseas, I believe in Slovakia. And this could end up being a real interesting signing. And I think it was interesting that the Rangers already signed him to his entry-level contract. So I think they're signaling that they want to get this guy in the AHL within the next year or so.
Yeah, most of them are going to get their OHL contract or their entry level contract. The next couple. You can see already Lysel got that one 2 days ago, and you got a couple of the players they got it, like Leroux, Berube, whatever you call it, for the kids from Shongan got it. So you have more and more players going to get that list going to be more updated the next couple of weeks. But 16 overall pick, I think that's good. Yeah, talking about this, they signed yesterday. Illinius got signed yesterday by the Kings or the Anaheim. One of the two of them signed third round pick, 59, I believe, something like that. So I think that for them that happen all the time. For I would expect more and more sign up.
Helenius is interesting though. He's 6'6". He's a big guy, Helenius. That's interesting. I didn't realize he was that big.
He says 6 foot.
You're talking about Brennan Othman, but Sammy Helenius is 6'6".
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Elias is a good player. He's a big guy over there. Good shot also. I think you have some upside down. I don't know if Yamo knows about him. Don't forget, guys, click on the like. That'd be awesome if you don't mind. But I think he's going to be. I was surprised he was get out late like this.
Get out late? What do you mean by that?
Like that was the third round pick.
Oh, so the thing about him too is he is a late birthday. So he's an 02. He's already played professionally, I believe. So he played in Liga. So he's already played like a season. He had pretty good numbers for a 17, 18-year-old.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. I think that they might.
Well, good to see him again at the World Juniors. So I'm interesting about it. They have not too bad last year. I could have 4 points in game. So you have to give him credit. You remind me a little bit the player from the Sweden, the big guy, scored between legs.
Yeah, right. Soderblom. Yeah. So that's interesting. Sammy Helenius is his father. Was Sammy Helenius a goalie? I thought Sammy Helenius was a goalie. Am I wrong?
Honestly, I'm not sure.
I'm just kind of curious.
I like Helenius. He has skill, his size. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, Yamo. I agree with you about that one there.
Yeah, I think so. I think what they're signaling again is similar to Quinton Byfield. I could see them putting him in the AHL sooner than later. He's already played a year professional. He's an 02 late birthday, so he's already drafted after sitting a year and missing the draft. So it would be interesting to see like how quickly do they move him to the AHL. And let's see his son. Yeah, there's his father. He's got a brother. Wow, elite prospect's been so slow. Oh, he was a D. That's what it was. He was a defenseman. And he played Calgary, Tampa. So he played in the NHL, Dallas. So his father played quite a bit in the pros. His father played up till, 09, 010. Sammy was a big D fighter. Oh, got it. Okay. I was trying to think if it was Riku Helenius, whether it was the goalie. That's what I was confusing him with. All right. So today, though, we were going to talk about 3 GMs.
I want just to insert about Dustin Byfuglien is not at his contract was done last year for the Winnipeg Jets. Yeah, so he's not attached to any team anymore. He feel like I don't know if he signed the paper as a retire, but he was it was still on the Winnipeg Jet. Whatever he did not play, he just did not get paid for the $7.86 million he had for the last 2 years. But right now his contract was finished in 2021. Just want to answer back to him. So
but there was an agreement to terminate his contract, and he got some money out of it. Because he basically they suspended him initially. And there was the issue where he went and got surgery on his ankle or his foot. And that kind of ended it. But he didn't want to play anymore. Like you could tell he was kind of done. So they basically came to a negotiated agreement. I think he got some money out of that. So this was a big, long saga.
Yeah.
This was like a big deal. So he ain't going back to Winnipeg. I don't think he's going to play again. He's done.
I don't think so.
Yeah. All right. So we wanted to look today at 3 general managers and kind of give them our rating. There's actually a really good article that maybe we'll take a look at on ESPN. Let's go here, ESPN. And it was basically rating the transactions of the GMs. Oh, geez, what the hell? Sorry, I guess I have to type it correctly. And it was looking at all 32 teams. So the one that we wanted to talk about, first of all, was the Tampa Bay Lightning. Let's see if we can find them. Why are they out of order? Geez, where the heck is it? There it is. All right. So this is kind of good because it shows the key additions and losses. So, I mean, first of all, this is the team that's won the Stanley Cup the last 2 years. But, you know, the one thing I will say, Pierre, is that this team also has Stevie Yzerman's fingerprints all over it. Yeah, they lost Sherratt, Bufflin, and I forget the other defenseman they lost. You're right. They did lose some other D. And that's definitely been an issue. All right, so for Tampa Bay, we see that they've added Corey Perry. Pierre-Edouard Bellemare is kind of interesting. I didn't realize they added him. They add Brian Elliott, which I think is really a smart move because I think he's an upgrade at the backup position, definitely over Curtis McElhinney. And then Zach Bogosian comes back. He went to Toronto. We know he was there for the first cup. And then they do a swap to get rid of the contract that they didn't want in Tyler Johnson. So they'd get Brent Seabrook, who we know goes on long-term IR. So this comes off the books for them and makes room. And then they lost Yanni Gourde in the expansion draft. They let Blake Coleman go. We didn't think they were going to be able to re-sign him. Barclay Goodrow signs a crazy contract in New York. And I think that's kind of, there's like an example of a guy that he got the same money as Andrew Copp. And I think Andrew Copp's offense definitely justified that number. Not sure about Barclay Goodrow. So they were not going to give him 3.6. And then they lose David Savard, who goes to Montreal, which is Montreal's gain. So overall, it's been kind of a weird offseason, but they just won the cup twice. And he got them over the hump after many, many years. So, and I think they got, you know, they re-signed Colton, and they've got, you know, young players that can step up into some of these positions. Like Matthew Joseph played really well last year and had, you know, kind of excellent numbers. So it'll be interesting to see. ESPN's rated this as C. I'm not sure if I rate this as C. Maybe if it's just off season. I think overall, Julien Brisebois. For you, Pierre, what sort of rating would you give Julien Brisebois?
Well, you have to go deeper. Like I said, if you're talking about GM, I have to look about what he did a couple of years ago. If you're talking about that, he picked up a team where it was already built with years after year by Steve Yzerman. So he did not go there with nothing over there or as a savior, something like that. He came there with a solid team over there. But the fact he did a great job is the way he managed the salary cap year after year by its front option, everything like that. And I think one thing we don't give him enough credit is all the at the trade deadline, he make always a great trade, helping the team to find a way to win the Stanley Cup. I don't say the player they pick is because of them, they're him, but he add more depth every time at the trade deadline. So you go back 2 years ago and the year after that, you know, that's that they pick up Coleman. Every time that they trade for Goodrow, and that helping them where they are, right? They trade Drouin for Sergachev a little bit earlier before that, but they build their team not only with their pick, but also with a couple of trade. Every time that they pick up Bat Maroon, there's another one at the bottom over there. And I think this year they signed Barry Boulet a couple of weeks ago. They have a lot, whatever it is. One key they do very well, Michael, is to look under the draft. I know we know Stankos and Vasilevsky, everything like that, but they pick a lot of good players at the round number 3, 4, 5. You talk about Kisharev and Brendan Point is a 4-round pick over there, right? They trade. So that helping them to become what they are Ross Colton is another older. It's another one not at the beginning first round. So we have a lot of players they did very well, and they make develop them very well. Also, I think the system of the AHL is pretty good. So we have to give him credit about that one. Then and they managed just to recap. You know what I mean? Of course, the Kucherov injury, but still, we have to give him credit. What I'm interested about them is like they lost the third line, Michael, but they did not lost the core. When I say the core is Brennan Point, right? That we talk about Kucherov over there. We talk about Palat. We talk about Cirelli. We talk about Killorn. And then the big five in the back, they are maybe the best big five in any team in NHL right now as a defenseman. And they have the best goalie in NHL. So we have a kind of team like that, you're going to perform whatever, maybe not win the Stanley Cup. But they're going to have that chance to winning next year. Or go, it's not going to be easy. And as a goaltender, to be honest with you, they are better as a duo because Brent Elliott bring more at McKinney over there and Gibson. So they have an increase with that. On defensive, Bokosian, it's a little bit what Luke Shen did over there. So they not lose a lot over there. And they still have Cal Foot there also over there. So they lost David Savard. Bokosian a little bit lower as Savard, but it's not a big loss overall. So so I think that'll be fine for that part of it. So the third line, you're going to be missing a piece over there. More about the role inside that team. So what you talk about the forecheck, the what they change. Sprinkler like them, they bring, they make the big goal. So I think for me, I was missing them a little bit, but not the point where they're going to be not to make the playoff or something like that. So,
right. They're still very good, Pierre. I mean, this team, to your point, he's kept Point. He's kept Palat. He's got Kucherov. He's got Stamkos. He's got Killorn. He's got Cirelli, right? And then all these other pieces are just kind of secondary in some ways. And the defense, to your point, the big guys are intact. Like you've still got Hedman. You still got McDonough. Cernak played great. Sergachev is awesome. And I will say, though, that Sergachev, for example, this team has Stevie Yzerman all over it because the Sergachev trade was like one of the last trades that Stevie Yzerman made. McDonough, I think, came over because of Stevie Yzerman, right?
Who?
I think McDonough was a Stevie Yzerman move too, wasn't he?
Well, it was a move from Yzerman.
Rangers. Yeah, so it's really unfortunate that Yzerman doesn't have a cup ring out of this because he built this team and he kept them together and they were very, very patient. But I will give Brisebois, credit for, I think, in the offseason, recognizing, and to your point, they've got guys, they're not picking number one overall. They're getting guys later in the draft. This is a hallmark. And then these guys over time are developing, they're signing them at the right time, and they're taking spots of older guys that are more expensive. And I think he's been really good at that. We saw it with Cirelli. I think we're seeing it with Matthew Joseph and Ross Colton. Barboulay, you got to think like his chances are pretty good because he's got a really good support structure and he's very capable of stepping in and not having pressure on him.
I would put like Smith, Cirelli second line. I don't know they put them there like this, but
I think he is probably more second line, but
I think there's a problem they have over there, and then they have also Jamel Smith. We don't show over there, so that's another players you have to pay attention about that one over there.
Yeah, Giovanni's brother.
Yeah, I think that's the one you have to look about that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think he's done a good job. I don't think I can give him a C, even for the off season. For me, this is more an A. It's pretty tough to win the Stanley Cup twice and still be able to he's still going to be top 5, I think. Maybe better. He might be top 3 in the NHL still.
I go with A for me.
Yeah, I go with an A. Blake Wheeler fan joined us, by the way, Pierre, and he was excited about the Andrew Copp signing. He was mentioning that how they lost Trouba, Myers, and of course Bufflin. And
Chariot.
So they've lost 4 really big pieces there.
They lost this the same year.
Yeah. And I think that they did the best they could to plug those holes, but it's pretty tough to replace a Bufflin. I think Pionk, they won that deal. Sherratt is way better than people realize. They had Forbort, and now they've moved from Forbort to Schmidt. So that'll be interesting because that's a little bit different for them. But overall, I mean, they've done an okay job plugging that. So thanks for joining us, Blake Wheeler. We haven't seen you in a little while. Vasilevsky and Kucherov are a bit too injury prone. Do you think Vasilevsky is injury prone?
Who?
He says Vasilevsky is injury prone.
No, not at all.
I don't think so. The salary cap was caught up with Tampa Bay. But, you know, they've managed this way better. If you look at the cap here, and this was your point, they have guys that are like cheap for what they do.
They was lucky, Michael, because honestly, they could not play last year like they did without the injury of the Kucherov.
For sure.
It would be impossible. So what they did, the move they did this year, Michael, they would happen last season. And then in the middle of the year, Michael, they lost Stamkos. So that opened up the chance to get Sabres and everybody else, right? Yeah. And then accelerate, they don't count at the playoffs. So their bad luck to lose Kucherov opened up other door to manage all the way to the end of the playoff, to go all the way to the end season, to go to the playoff. So for me, you know, the bad luck is helping them at some point. That's the reason they do very well now. You know, they do well. Like you have to move all the players this year because the money. So we're going to see what is going to happening about that for the upcoming season.
Well, so I think what happens is this 6.8 comes off, and that puts them under. That puts them right at the cap. So that's pretty much what the Brent Seabrook deal.
I just want to answer to Eno Tap. Vasilevsky, Michael, 50, 65, 53, 52, and this year 42.
Yeah, I think that, and that's out of 55 or 56 games or whatever. So I think he's been very healthy overall. 12 players 30 years old on Tampa. Yes, because they've kept this team together since like 2014-15. They were very patient with the core. And rather than they resisted blowing it up. But if you look at what's coming up, they, you know, like Braden Point is only 25, Pierre. Cirelli's 24. Ross Colton's 24. So they're
Kucherov is only 28.
Right. Well, sorry, who?
Kucherov.
Yeah, really. So, I mean, that's pretty good. They got 2 cups out of it. And they have, so yes, there are some older players surrounding them. And
they are not old.
I don't think so.
The only player we said he will go to struggle more and they have a big contract is McDonough.
Right. And I think that he's 32 going on 33. They still have 6.7 left on a number of years.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only one really. I believe they will have to figure out something else. But otherwise, you think about the core, Michael, Sergachev, Cernak is 23, 24.
Right.
And Cal Foot is not in, is 22. And Ekman, Michael, is only 30. So Ekman is going to be good for about 3 more years minimum. So that's great about that one over there. And then the forward, the only one I would say a little bit, it's more about Killorn at 31, but his salary is not bad at all. It's Stamkos, honestly, a little bit concerned about him at maybe at 34 because he can see, he shows some, I think the injuries pick him up more. Like he looked like different me during the playoff.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. He's always had weird injury problems with his legs and his knees. So you don't know what's going on. Because for him to disappear, it's weird. Because he's normally a very productive player.
It's funny because at the end of the day, Michael, you have 18.23 game in play.
I know. And you're like, well, the guy disappeared for a whole round.
And you have 34 point and 38 game Michaels on the playoffs. So during the season. So we are very hard on him right now, to be honest.
You know, it's like, I haven't seen the guy score in 6 games. Okay.
And prior to that, Michael, 66 and 57, 98 and 82, and 86 and 78 game the last 3 seasons. So I think he has no problem.
Yeah, this is an embarrassment of riches. That's what they call it.
I think he's doing well.
He's doing fine. And at 8.5, he's cheap. He's making less money than Seth Jones, Zach Werenski. Well, actually, Hedman at 7.
I agree with you. You know, the 18 million helping and our tap, he helping them for sure. That's definitely, I agree with you, because you can see the 18 million disappear the last couple of weeks when they lost the third line over there. It's just what happening this year should happen last season but the injury, the bubble situation, helping them to get that core all together for one more year. So it is what it is. So
yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right, so I think we both gave him an A. Intertap somewhere here gave him a B plus. So
it's about there. I gave him A. The reason Intertap a little bit friend with you is because he won the Stanley Cup back to back.
Nice.
So you cannot you know what I mean? Like if you get B, imagine the rest of your GM in the NHL.
You guys will just quit.
Nothing wrong again, you in our tab, but I think if you have to give him credit, I think he does a great job to manage everything. And the guy is he have a work ethic, unbelievable, Michael. Personally, and we don't have credit. This guy grew with the Montreal Canadiens. And you know what? Another player is there. Nobody talk about behind this is the ex NHL player Darch. He played for Montreal Canadiens. Jesus, he played for the Tampa Bay before that.
Oh, you're saying Roost?
No, Darch for Montreal Canadiens, like Matthew Darch. Tap. What's the name I'm talking about?
Matthew Darch.
Yeah, you did tough on him right now. What's the name of the ex Montreal Canadiens? Now he's the office. He's a manager. He's the assistant general manager or something like that. Player development or whatever. Matthew Darch. Here we go.
Oh, okay.
And he does a great job over there. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like some people behind the scenes, we don't talk a lot. And that's another one over there. He's there now for 2 years, and he's doing a very good job. But Brisebois, Michael, grew with the Montreal Canadiens, with the team and the American Hockey League before that.
Okay.
Yeah, Dash.
Got it. All right. So the other two GMs that we wanted to look at quickly, one was Arizona and then Buffalo. So I don't want to. Arizona came in and they had a young GM for a number of years that was a little bit controversial, got his job, which is John Chaika, based upon his analytics firm. And he went into Arizona with a lot of promise, and it was kind of a slow burn. And they had some success, but very muted, right? Like, so he came in, he kind of cleaned up the cap situation, but then the wheels really fell off on this guy. Right. And it led to them hiring Bill Armstrong. So the wheels fell off to the point where the team gets nailed for working out prospects that are not drafted yet. And they lose their first round pick. So now you're Bill Armstrong and you're coming to a situation where you've got a bunch of stuff on the books that you don't necessarily want. You don't have a first round pick and you had a terrible season. And his response is he acquires friggin' 6 second-round picks and a first. So it was kind of interesting. Like they bring in contracts that other people didn't want. They brought in Shane Gossabear. They brought in Connor Timmins, who actually is a pretty good young defenseman if he's healthy. But you see, they get the Louis Eriksson contract. They pick up Jay Beagle, Travis Boyd, Carter Hutton. They're going with him in net, and they move on guys like Darcy Kemper. They move the contract for OEL. Connor Garland is a bit of a sacrifice as a result of that. Nick Chalmerson retires, and he's been a long stalwart there. Goligoski moves on and got kind of a big contract in Minnesota, Pierre. So they were not going to sign him for that. Antti Ranta has been very, very injury prone, so they move on from that. Jordan Esterly, he goes to Detroit. So you can see a lot of in and outs. And now they're talking about, I don't know.
You don't talk about Hill there. I don't know why.
Aiden Hill, right. You're right, because they moved out Aiden Hill for a second-round pick, and that was one of the second-round picks that they acquired.
That's the only thing I'm a little bit concerned about him. That's and then Hill, about the loss of that one of the. Otherwise, he does a very good job. He rebuilt for the bottom. So what you talk about, Coach, I'm talking about the foundation where he pick up a lot of picks with all the bad contract. He found a way to let it go. UEL bad contract. So that's a great move. He paid the price for Connor Garland, but they have two small players over there.
Sorry.
They have to pick up between one of the three Schmalz, Thorak, or Garland. So it was the reason we did trade one of the three. That was explained very well by them over there. So that's the reason they get that one over there. So you have a couple of young players. They step up over there. I like the Timmins situation over there. And you can see they have 23, 22. Ching Ran is another great over there. Libush Bishkin at 27 is not too bad at all. He's going to suffer, of course, with Stroudman, and he's going to get another one over there. The goaltender situation, now they don't have a lot of things, but he's targeting Michael for two things right now. He's targeting for Shane Wright, and he's targeting for Bedard in 2 years. That's the same path we're going to do with Buffalo at some point. A little bit different, but almost the same. So Arizona have a chance to do that. If they get this, Michael, he can suffer for 1 or 2 years. I'm telling you right now, they knows about that. And he knows what happened. It was not Schwein, it was Clayton Keller, I believe I was talking about.
Yeah, and sorry, I'll go down. So Clayton Keller is the most expensive guy at 7.1. He's only 23, Pierre. I don't think he's what they think he was going to be. Like, I thought that, he would be like a 70, 80 point player. That's the only reason you give this guy 7.1. So he's overpaid. They're going to probably be patient with that. They might move it, but I'd be very surprised. Phil Kessel.
I'm surprised they gave a lot of good contract at a young age. You can see another one at 25, like 5.8, everything like that. And I think that's something they did in the past where I'm strongly very careful about those kind of the thing of that. I think he's really believed to start with to get Keller inside his team. Have maybe a couple of young kids he wants to keep around. But we'll be really, really interesting about what happening the next couple of weeks, years. But again, he did well, like Enotap.
Look at this. This is the crazy thing. So not only did this, and this is next year, but we know, oh my God, why does this keep happening?
So they have 2 picks from next year for Arizona and Colorado, right?
Sorry.
And then they have 5 picks in the second round, and they go to trade 2 of them. And we're pretty sure they will get 2 of them, or maybe get 2 of them. They maybe drop at 28, or you go a little bit lower if they need it, right? Or they're going to get a young kids to get a second round pick at some point. So they have a lot of good hands over there. I like what he got.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to say, like, they took a really crummy situation, and they're giving themselves every chance to get franchise player in the upcoming 2 drafts. They have tons of other picks later in the rounds. He cleared out some salary problems. He took on short-term salary problems, and they might get more draft picks. Like, this is a good point, right? They still have Kessel to trade.
The only thing I'm not good with his is like why to trade Thorak. You know what I mean? What would be the point to trade him when he's only 24? He's only 4,000,000.4. I think you saw your list 4.4.
I think Dvorak contract is pretty reasonable. He's 4.4.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they're in a hurry to trade this guy.
That's my point. I don't know why he wants to trade him.
I don't know.
He's on discussion about that one of that, but I don't see why. The only reason I can see what he said in OTAP, his stock market is high, so you can get a first round pick. About that, but again, you have to pick below 10 if you want to get him something solid. You have to go somewhere else where a team that don't make the playoff go all the way to the end.
The one that was interesting to me is the Dmitry Jaskin contract. They gave this guy 3.2. It's only 1 year, so it's a small risk for them. And he did have a really good year. When he was in St. Louis, I thought he was going to be a really good power.
Never been what he expect, right? He never been. He went to Washington, Nashville, St. Louis. He never been where there was the expectation over there. So for me, I don't see. But again, like you said, it's a 1 year and boom, you go home. That's pretty much it.
Pretty much.
He never been like, you can see all the stats in NHL, never have that reach the level. So
yeah. He looked like in 2014-15, you were like, wow, this guy's big and he can shoot the puck and he can play. I think the league got faster, Pierre, and I think what he did got harder to do.
And I like the in our tap his comment at the bottom, because he really the first one in the chat, Michael, a couple of days ago, maybe weeks. He mentioned about Tarek for the Montreal Canadiens is really going to fix what Montreal need right now. So. That's what I'm concerned why Bergevin does move about that. And he would cost you a first round pick, Michael. You know what? Montreal is going to be a 20 next year, 22, 23. So, cool. And on my point, like it's depend the prospect you gave to him. And I think for me, I would not give the prospect, maybe Poland, I would give. They have confidence on Poland, but maybe a defenseman and return a solid defenseman, I think that would be, or maybe a first round pick with Brooks. But otherwise,
this would be a good pickup. I mean, he's a productive player. He's like a 50-point player.
Michael, the key behind this is not only this, right? Is what? 38 point, 37, 35. So he's about 17. So he never reached 20 goals. So you have to be careful about that one over there. But again,
he's only 25 though.
I'm sorry?
He's only 25.
Yeah, but again, my point was like he carry on only $4.5 million per year.
I know.
And he's still good for 3 years. So I think for me, you can get him a good players in return, and maybe because he's looking for young players right now. You can see what he's doing right now. He wants young players. He wanted like a little bit what, honestly, Michael, is what Colorado did. They gave him Timmins and they gave him a first round pick. So if you can give him a prospect, Bailey, and then you can give them a first round pick or a second round pick, that's maybe they should look about this Arizona. They want to trade him, and Montreal they need absolutely. This kid's going to be between Montreal or Boston. That's one my expectation.
Yep, I would agree. Unfortunately, Pierre, I have to go for sure.
Yeah, that's fine. We can push back next week for the Buffalo team. It's 12 o'clock, so we understand. If you're doing that. Tonight, 9 o'clock p.m. Tomorrow night, Michael, I have to do a special Montreal Canadiens hockey night in Canada. So tomorrow night, I do a show tomorrow night, and that will be happening tomorrow night. But tonight, we'll be back at 9 o'clock Eastern time. So thank you very much to join. Don't forget to click on the like before you go. I look forward to see you tomorrow, next Monday, with Michael Devellano at 11 o'clock Eastern time. Have an amazing, great weekend, Michael, and the rest of the family, the Hockey Nation Live Show. Have a good one.
Thanks, Pierre.